district to order for, oh, sorry.
That's okay. You're good now.
All right. I'm going to call the Katuitt Fire District's Board of Water Commissioners March 16th, 2022 meeting to order. It's 5:32 and Commissioner Horsley and Hoppenstedt are present, as is Office Manager Nash and Superintendent Wiseman. And there are 3 people from the public, including one of which is on the Prudential Committee, which is great because we're going to be talking about the budget today quite a bit. So our agenda calls for public comment first, which I want to have. But before I open it up to public comment, I'm thinking, Chris, we're going to bounce your water quality report, superintendent's report to a later minute if we get to it.
Okay.
Okay. Just because I want to make sure we get through the budget process, and then Commissioner Horsley has something he's got to share real quick, and then we'll see how time looks and if we have time for those. Is there any public comment at this point? Hearing none. Let's move to the operating and maintenance budget. And as part of that, I'd like to include the discussion on the billing software. Because if we are going to make a change, we need to add that to the budget today so that we can present that to the Prudential Committee at their next meeting, I believe. Okay.
Okay.
Correct.
You want me to jump into that, Tom?
Yes, please.
All right. Let me get to that. All right. So to give you a quick background on it, a couple months ago, the assistant treasurer came to us to ask about our billing software with some recommendations from the Prudential Committee, from he as the treasurer and the assistant treasurer and their process perspective, as well as a recommendation from the auditor about a deficiency known to smaller organizations like ours, where we have one person that handles both billing and receipts. That's come up, as you guys know, because we've responded to it in the audit in the past. It's come up before. So we talked about a few things of how we can address some of these deficiencies, and one of them included a software change. The discussion also included implementing lockbox functionality, which the treasurer is looking into separate from a software conversion. So I wanted to give you a quick background on it, what we're trying to accomplish, and then what it would mean going forward, both from our operating perspective and from the budget perspective. There's 5 goals that in discussions with the treasurer and assistant treasurer that we wanted to accomplish. One would be to address the auditor's concerns regarding the billing and payments. One would be an auto import of data into VADAR, which is the system that our treasurer and assistant treasurer currently use for the general ledger. That would reduce some manual entry and the potential for human error, either on my end creating the deposit or on the assistant treasurer's end and entering the deposit, because it has to be done manually. It would also eliminate a single point of failure with Brava, which is our current billing system, and that's what I have on the screen right now. As you might remember, Brava was created by one man who had a partner originally, and then passed away suddenly, and his son took over the business. This is a second job for the son. He does an excellent job with it. He does custom development for us. He did an excellent job taking over the processing, but if something were to happen to him, we'd be in trouble. So it is time to start looking at a new system. They all have their pros and cons, but the other thing that the treasurer wanted to try and accomplish is some security of the data. Right now, the data in Brava lives locally on a server at the water department. It's pretty safe. It's It's behind firewalls. It's backed up through secure networks, but it does live in one place. So we want to make sure that whatever solution we pick going forward has data security presence. And we also wanted to either create some efficiencies or eliminate some deficiencies for the water department staff as well. There are a lot of innovative things out there. We took what our current software gave us. We did several demos with Vadar, again, the system that the admin team already uses. They have a utility billing system that we did demos on. We did some hands-on training with. We went down to Brewster Water and saw how they used it. And then we also did a demonstration with MuniLink. So I've included a comparison here of the three softwares that we looked at. So Brava being our current provider, it's got an annual cost of $1,500 per year for the maintenance. So it's a very inexpensive solution. It does currently do everything we needed to do. It produces work orders. It has all of our service drawings in it. We use it for the billing. We use it to post receipts. It's one-stop shopping and meets all of our needs in one package. They're able to accommodate custom development for us to meet our future billing needs. The pro to that is, when you're with a bigger software provider, sometimes that custom development doesn't come because it has to meet the needs of many clients, not just one client. So you may not get the development you need. You're kind of subject to what they provide to you. And I put in here especially that right now it meets our penalty bill. It accommodates our penalty bills with our current calculation structure because one of the softwares does have an issue with that. Again, I identified it's a single person in the organization that does all the maintenance, and the receipts sent to the treasurer are entered manually into Vadar. So those are kind of the cons with our current software. Looking at Vadar, it's the current provider for the GL software used by admin. Obviously, new software with bells and whistles comes with a price increase. So we have to decide kind of what that pain point is for us and for our taxpayers. Vadar has provided us with 2 payment offers. The total cost would be close to $70,000 over the course of 6 years. We can do a one-time payment up front for the conversion costs of $35,000, which also includes the first year's maintenance contract. Ray was beginning discussions with the Prudential Committee about picking up the cost of conversion for that, and then the water department picking up the annual maintenance fee in the operating budget for the remainder years 2 through 6. Or it can be done $11,600 per year over the course of the 6 years. It's a cloud-based software. They would import up to 5 years of history for us. So one of the things that we could do is continue to run Brava in the background for a year or 2 or 3 until so that we had the history that we needed to be able to serve our ratepayers. May or may not be necessary. We'd have to see how the first year went to see if we needed to run it continually in the past, perpetually for a little while. It has great reporting options. It's easy to identify exceptions when we're doing the readings. You can compare usage period to usage period rather than just with Brava. Right now, when I do comparisons, I have to go into every single record and look at, what did they use last July through December? What did they use last January to June? So Vadar does that comparison for you. I can select which usage period I want to compare to. It would be, they're already integrated with our meter reading software. They have an existing relationship with our tech people. Deposits can be submitted to the treasurer and imported into the GL with reducing manual entry for the assistant treasurer. The cons on that are the loss of account history, both in consumption and billing and notes. The bigger things for me on the con side of this are they're not able to accommodate our current policy when it comes to calculating penalties. We would need to rewrite our policy to something that their software could handle. And we lose a bit of transparency on the statements that go out to the ratepayers. Right now, they can't accommodate our step calculations, you know, how we do the first 10,000 gallons at $4 and so on and so forth. They can print the total amount due on the bill, but they can't currently show that step calculation. So it's harder. Sorry, I just wanted to check the participant window and make sure Mark hadn't logged in.
Okay.
And he's not there yet. So they can't show that step calculation on the statement. So we lose a bit of transparency in what we're showing to our ratepayers. Also with this, they can't accommodate the operational piece. So VADAR would have the utility billing module. Then they would have a point of sale module where we take all of the receipts. And then we would have to use this software called NERBY, which is pretty slick. It's a good looking package. It's got a good user interface. This would accommodate the creation of our work orders, all of the service card drawings, so that when the operators went on site to, you know, somebody's house to mark out their service, let's say, or to turn it on and off. Right now, our work orders print with that drawing on the bottom of the work order. VADAR does not accommodate that. We would need to use this NERBY system to do the work orders, the scheduling. Now, the good news with that is that it's a pretty robust system that we could also use for inventory management. We could load in all of our hydrants, all of our gates, all of our stations. We could use it. You can turn things red and green when they need attention, and they would turn green when the operators have addressed whatever need is there. One of the downfalls to that is there is a unidirectional feed. So we can push information from NERBY to VADAR, but not from VADAR to NERBY. So if I went in and loaded work orders for the operators for the day, they could go out. It looks like Mark is coming in now. So they could go out and clear I could send it to them electronically. It would require some additional devices that are data enabled, whether it's a tablet or a phone. I could push that to their schedule. They can respond to it right through the tablet or right through the phone, close the work order, take pictures, take video, put all of that in the record. And then we can push that information back into VADAR to bill. You can't go the other way. So if I'm looking up a record in VADAR and I need to create a work order for it, I have to get out of VADAR and into NERBY to create that work order. Both of them have said that functionality, both the issue of printing the calculation of the bill on the statement and possibly pushing work orders from NERBY to VADAR are coming sometime in the next maybe 18 months. So it's things that could be addressed down the line, but they don't have a current way of handling those things. So based on follow-up conversations with the treasurer after we saw these demos, I was also approached by MuniLink, which is a software that I had seen demoed probably 20 to 22 months ago. They reached out again to see if we were interested in another demo because they know this is our budget time and we might be looking at that. So I scheduled the demo with MuniLink. That was 1,000 times more impressive than the two systems that we had seen prior, both VADAR and NERBY. As you can see from this, I found nothing to put in the cons column when it came to MuniLink. Their cost to implement was less expensive. Their cost per month is less expensive. This would include 3 years of data, but they could accommodate more data import, obviously, at a cost. They've said that they see that most organizations don't need more than 3 years. And we can make that decision at any point. It's cloud hosted. They have a GL that would report that would integrate with VADAR that could be auto imported. It would be one system for billing and operations. They have a customer self-service portal where right now we direct people online to pay their bill. That same portal could give them, they could look at their consumption over the last however many years we hold in history. They could look at all of their billing history. They can go online and make their payment. Right now, we use Unipay. Unipay charges 50 cents. If you're doing a direct debit from your checking account, that would be free with MuniLink. They do not do online credit card processing that Unipay does, but they do interface with any third-party billing credit card processor out there. So they said they could set up an interface with Unipay to do that. They would do backflow tracking. They would do inventory tracking. So if Chris goes out and orders 20 meters, I can take the meter number of all of those meters and load them into the MuniLink system so that when Matt, JR, or John go out and change a meter at a property, all I have to do is pull that new meter number in from the inventory list. And it will let me know when our inventory is getting down there so I can remind Chris to order some meters. It has an audit trail of all changes. It has that CAS barcode system that would save us 5 cents per bill that went out in the mail. But on top of all of that, it has auto billing, electronic billing, where I could, anybody who opts to receive their bill by mail, it would send them an electronic bill and save us the postage and the paper and the printing and the stuffing and the sorting and the sealing fee on all of those bills that we have now. The bills are customizable. It would show that step graph or the step pricing and the calculation that we would not have with VADAR and that we currently have today. It can accommodate our penalty policy. It has a customer notification system, so people can go in and set their preferences or let me know their preferences. If they want to receive communication by text message or by email or by phone, there is a minimal fee of, I think it's 2 cents for every 100 email. When we're doing flushing, I can search a report that says, show me all of the houses on Main Street that want to receive an email, and I can blast that out with our flushing locations for the day. It will take the digital media uploads. So if they need to send me a picture of a leak or a picture of a meter or something that's going on at one of our ratepayers' homes, we can load that right into their records. And it can also provide consolidation billing for master meters. So let's say, you know, the town of Barnstable has 7 accounts with us. I can send them one bill that gives for all 7 accounts and breaks them out individually on that bill rather than 7 bills. So we're going to recognize some saving in printing and postage. We have several of those, Katuitt Center for the Arts, Katuitt Bay Shores, and so on. So MuniLink was a really robust solution. We can recognize some cost savings, again, from the billing side with savings in postage and printing and so on and so forth. If we decide that now is the time to make a software change, MuniLink would be my recommendation, hands down. I've had a little bit of conversation with Ray about it. He sent me an email the other day, and I think even he recognized over the efficiencies of VADAR that MuniLink would be a better solution for the water department. So I told him that I would bring all of this information to you folks tonight as the people who recommend the budget to the district. The decision is yours to make how we move forward. If we think that this can be prolonged for another 18 months, VADAR may have some additional functionality and capabilities that would meet our needs as well. But I think even then we're still looking at using 3 different systems and or modules to do what MuniLink can do in one system. So that's my pitch. Let me know if you have any questions about all of that.
An excellent pitch too, Jen. Thank you. You did your homework, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Any of the other commissioners have any questions?
I agree. It sounds like homework is done. Good recommendation.
Fran, as a Prudential Committee member, do you have anything to add?
I think our concerns are, one, the audit report, and my concern has always been that, God forbid, anything happened to your computer guy.
Yeah.
Because then you're up a creek. Also, another concern is that municipalities are being hacked into all over the country. I think the water department needs a more secure storage system. So regardless of the firewalls that is behind, it's a big problem for municipalities. And what for the Muni, what is the setup fee? Was that $10,000?
Yep, $10,000 for the conversion. Let me just get back to that page. So
That included
$10,000 for the
training,
data
right?
import, implementation, and training,
Okay.
and then $925 a month, which
Okay.
comes out to just about the same $7,000 that we were seeing from Vadar.
Okay. And the 4,000 to 7,000 is if you want more history than 3 years.
Correct.
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure that the Prudential Committee would put the $10,000 on our budget so that you wouldn't have to, on the Finance Department budget for the transfer. It's not written in stone, but I'm pretty sure that was, a proposal that we'd make. So, it certainly sounds like MuniLink is the preference, and if it'll, work with Vadar, I think, it's all to the good. And it sounds like it would make a lot of your work that you do easier, more consolidated. And we might actually be able to come up with an email database for the district by using this, that, not only you can send out emails, but the fire department and the Prudential Committee, if needed, can send out emails, which is sorely missing.
It would definitely bring us into the 21st century.
Yes, right.
Does the MuniLink, will it communicate with Vadar, the software that the treasurer's office is using?
It will actually, and Ray sat in on the demo, and they were showing us the reports, just their canned reports that they have, all have a section down at the bottom that lists, we feed them whatever the GL number is for the categories, and it actually prints that transaction right on the bottom of the reports, but it also provides it electronically where I could then send it electronically to Lisa and she could import it.
So it does get to the auditor's concerns as well.
It does.
Yes.
Nice.
Along with the lockbox solution. Because, right, because just switching software doesn't alleviate the fact that the same person that's doing billing is doing the receipts. With the lockbox solution, they would go to a third party, they would create the entry just like Unipay does when people pay online, send that entry to me, and then I just import it into the system. So it does address the, for 90% of the transactions, there would still be the people that come see me and bring me a cash or a check or whatever, things that are brought to the office, we would still get, or mailed directly to our PO box, we would still get, but.
Okay, that's good. Any other questions, Commissioners Robinson? Or
I had a question. Sorry I'm late. I missed half the presentation. Glad I got to hear the last one about MuniLink. It sounds like the best. But Jen, did you have a chance to ask what other water departments or town municipalities use this on the Cape?
I did, yeah. And actually Barnstable uses this. I talked with Tom Rooney and Kim Vermette over there. They love it. They use it in conjunction with Utility Cloud, which is kind of like the NERBY, but it's not something that we would need. This would be able to accommodate it all in one software. They had Utility Cloud in place before they started using MuniLink. I also checked in with Peter Elwell, who's our contact at Tie Sales. He's my tech support guy when we do the meter readings. One of the two softwares that actually there's three software he recommended. One is MuniLink, one is QZ, and one was Vadar. So he was familiar with all three of them. And those are the big three players that we've seen. I did do a demo with QZ, it's CUSI, probably a little more than 24 months ago. MuniLink hands down beats it.
Thank you.
Chris, do you have
Jen,
any?
I just had a quick, sorry. Jen, the only thing though, the history would really do is like with our leak rate, if we ever had to go into that, we could never really go back to look for the highest over so many years. Is that correct?
Right. So I wouldn't be able to find that in one place until we started building that history. But as part of the conversion, we would be exporting the data from Brava, and I could pull the consumption table into a CSV or a pivot table or something and be able to access that to look back at prior consumption.
Cool. Okay. Yeah.
All right, so if we're gonna move forward on this in our proposed budget for this year, what we need is a figure. And it sounds like the figure we need would be the one to purchase and go with the MuniLink system. In my mind, I don't know what, if I think Scott and Mark, I think you guys voiced that opinion as well. But we need a bottom line, like what's the total value, what's the total figure, and do you have that right now? Is that like?
I do. Yep.
is it
So
like-
let me pull up our operating budget. So
Should we do this
we
this year,
had,
guys? Are we okay to do this? I mean, we've got all of these other expenses that due to inflation and these unknowns in these strange times that we live in. Is this the right year to do this? I mean, we do have an auditor that's expressed concerns. We have a solution to deal with that. We have options here that sound enticing. To me, it sounds ripe, but I worry about the size of our budget, right? Just a thought.
So Tom, does this come out in operations or under capital?
so the that $925 a month, that monthly maintenance fee would come out of our operating budget. The $10,000 conversion cost, we had penciled in our 5-year capital plan. Fran was just saying that the Prudential Committee would look to do the appropriation for the 10,000.
Yeah, so we'd have to wait to hear from that committee, but I think, Fran's got a good pulse on them and knows what they're looking to do, and it'd be advantageous for the district, right? I mean, because we'd have more fluidity between our office and the other offices, at least through the treasurer's office, which would be nice. You're changing printing.
So, oh, thank you.
Okay.
I want the one below it. So it would be our figure here minus 1,500, which is what our annual fee is for Brava. And then it would be $925 a month times 12 months, which is 11,001.
Yeah.
Oop. I forgot the minus sign.
Plus
That didn't work.
you want plus 1,100.
Right. That's what happens when people are watching. So that's what it would do to our line item. But like I was saying, we will also, once there's some good adoption with this and electronic billing kicks in, there would be, right off the bat, there's going to be a 5 cent per bill savings on postage because of that CAS encoding, the barcode that goes on it. And then as people adopt electronic billing, we'd recognize the savings in envelopes and paper and toner and the fee for stuffing and mailing. And
Okay, and I would think we'd want to put the $10,000 initial purchase, which includes the training, into a capital item for us, and then if Prudential decides that they want to add that to their budget, then we pull it out.
I agree. So I put that in. I put it in our capital budget, our 5-year one that we were working on. I put it in at 15, just in case something came up, just in case we decided to do some additional history, just in case they had to do something on site for training. It looks like we can do everything online, so I'm not anticipating that, and we would turn back in anything that was left over.
Okay. All right. Do we need a motion on this? It's just a budget. We might need a motion on the overall budget. This is just a line item, so I don't really feel like we need a motion on this at this point.
Is the general consensus that we should move forward with MuniLink?
Yes.
I concur. Scott?
Concur.
Okay. Any questions from anybody out in the audience or comments? Matt, JR, Natalie, Fran, of course, you can love to hear your thoughts at any time. You just muted yourself. Sorry. Thanks.
I understand your concerns. We're all concerned about the inflation and the cost of various things, but I think overall, Jen's right, it will reduce some of your costs. And I just think that the efficiency for your customers is going to be much better. And communication with customers is going to be much better and easier. And so I think that's going to be an all around win. And, you know, certainly if there's a finance problem during the course of the year, you know, I will hopefully still be on the committee, and I'll, you know, try my very best to make sure that we're as helpful as possible. You know, it's been getting the whole district into the 21st century has been a slow process. So,
Thank you for your persistence.
And your support.
Yeah.
I mean, I will add too, I get so many phone calls from, you know, we have a lot of snowbirds. Mail service has not been great, yeah, in Florida or here. I didn't receive my bill. We have one resident who is in China a good part of the year, in Hong Kong. We have to pull that bill out, mail it separately. We have a lot of people asking for auto pay and electronic billing, and we can't accommodate that right now. So.
Yeah. So, and you know, and it seems to be working very well for all other the utilities. And also it's working well for the town. I actually use the town system to pay my excise tax bills. So,
Nice. And it maintains the transparency for all our users, if not improves it, right?
yeah, it improves it, I think.
That's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know the other commissioners think our communications are, as do I, our communication needs to be open and transparent. We need to continue to improve that. So that's good. I'm all in favor.
Great. Thank
Okay.
you.
Excellent. Thank you. The other item on the budget was we asked you guys to go look at inflation concerns and where we might be able to make some cuts, as well as where we probably needed to add some money. And then Chris, we had asked you to do some work on merit increases. So I see, it looks like that's in there, right? Is that in there?
We did not, this is a different, didn't you just have that under, oh, there is computer.
Yeah,
okay.
that's different. We're gonna go up or something.
Okay.
Scroll somewhere. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah, that is, those figures there include just COLA, or did that merit go in there, Jen?
That includes everything you and I discussed yesterday.
Okay. So yeah, I did put down suggested merit for the operators and the office manager. I put down as operator C, there was $1,000 merit, B and A at 2,000, and the office manager at 3,000. I had put in there.
Okay.
I also have put in there and asked to increase the on-call pay from $225 to $250 a week. We probably haven't done that in about 10 years. We've been paying them the same amount to be on call for the week. And $25 isn't a lot, but at least it's a little bit to help out.
So what, I'm sorry, back that up just a second for me. On the on-call, so it's $250 per week?
Correct. Whoever's on call between the three operators, just for carrying the phone and being on call to be the person who gets the phone call in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
That can't run to, see the fireworks in Hyannis during the 4th of July because they can't respond within half an hour. They get paid a $250 to carry that phone for the week,
Okay.
just because we restrict their use basically of where they can go and where they can't go.
Yeah.
They still get paid for their overtime, but because we restricted their use and for them to have it, they get paid an extra $250 for that week.
How
Or
does that get,
25 now.
how does that get determined?
It's on a rotating basis.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Commissioners Horsley, Robinson, do you have comments on any of that?
I think that sounds fair, and certainly with the merits and yeah, I support this.
I agree as well.
Good. Myself included. How about, were we able to come up with any savings from any line items, or did we add any more when you guys gave more thought
Nope.
to?
Since we talked to
accommodate?
you last, we've probably received 2 to 3 different letters from vendors saying that there's going to be a increase of 15% on shipping, of so many percent on chemicals now.
Yeah.
We had to go back and really look at this. Even in the month that we gave you, we've raised a lot of these more than we raised before. We didn't drop anything. We couldn't.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is actually a higher operating budget than what I showed you
Mhm.
before. When you asked us to go back and review it, we really sat down and looked at these and went through, and I'm trying to still be comfortable here, but I'm still nervous. But I don't want to go. Press committee has always been nice to us. If we ever had any problems, I'm sure we could go to them and say, hey, this is just an estimate, and inflation and everything else is skyrocketed. Nobody can catch it. So we're just basically taking it off of what we're getting for figures now. Gas is going to go up even more. We had to go up a little more because we might run out this year. We thought we were high. We get a discounted rate. We don't pay, the same as you or I do at the pump.
Okay.
Mr.
All
Chair,
right. Thank you.
We
Yes.
did know, just note in there that we did follow up with Cape Light Compact, and we're locked in at our current rate through July of 2024. So electricity didn't go up.
Correct.
So that's good.
Ken,
Commissioner
why
Horsley?
don't you put a note in there explaining that the contract runs through 2024.
yeah, Tom, through you to Jen, maybe, do we have any sense of where this budget sits compared to revenues for the year? I remember last year we looked at this and it looked pretty good because our revenues were going up at that point. How do we
Yeah.
look this year?
So I did
This was a-
include in this packet both our projected revenue and where we currently sit with our expenses for this year. So just bear with me while I pull up the.
I could read them if you want, but
No, we were up, even though our pumpage was down, we were up 28% revenue.
Right.
So that was nice.
All right, here it comes. So here's our revenue, our projected revenue to date. We had projected 1.167 million. We're looking to come in probably around 1.110. I haven't billed the penalty bills because the minimum use bills are just going out. So that will be an additional amount of revenue there. And we may have something coming off for any leak adjustments that we grant in the coming months after people check their irrigation systems, but we're still coming in around 1.1 million compared to total operating maintenance and labor budget of 790,000.
That's pretty good.
Now that first column there, Jen, that's projections. What was our budget last year?
So this is what was appropriated in
What was our
fiscal
revenue
year.
last year? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at something that you're not because I'm not sharing my screen.
So that was on the other one, 722, 779. So 723,000 was this year's budget.
Right. This is what was appropriated for fiscal year 22.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. And then the revenue increases over last year. You showed the projections there, but you didn't show what the actual was. And I remember we talked about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, and we came up with a 28% increase at that point.
Over last year. Yeah, I'd have to, I don't think I have that spreadsheet here to reference.
You have that as actuals on there. I mean,
That's
sheet-
actual for this year. It's not any comparison to last year.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
That might be nice for district meeting to have that.
sure.
Share that with Prudential when we could put that together.
Yep. I have that at the click of a spreadsheet, just not remotely.
Thank you so much for all the work you've done and the presentation that you just
Sure.
provided. Chris, thank you as well.
No problem.
I would entertain a motion to accept this budget and move it all on over to Prudential.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I think Jen and Chris did a great job here. This is well thought out. And I think we're, well prepared for some increased costs here, but we're also doing great with revenue. So I think we're doing really well here.
All right, well, let's move this over then to Prudential for their consideration, and we'll and then eventually district meeting, and we'll hope everything goes as smoothly. Nice work.
Sounds good. Okay, we do have
Thank
the
you.
5-year, yeah, we do have the 5-year plan though, that we were gonna talk about. I don't know if you got a quick second on that.
Absolutely. The capital improvement program. So it's a plan, capital
Correct.
improvement plan. And I know that Ray sent an email out the other day wanting to kind of, do a better job of detailing the treatment plant. And one thing I would say with that is, we put that out 2028 because we're hoping we never have to get there because of our source water protection planning.
Correct.
So-
And I just wanted to tell you, I did talk to somebody from the firm that wrote that estimate up to us back 5 years ago.
Yep.
And with today's projection, now I have misread that report, I believe. He's confirming to me that I
Yeah.
did. You have that report?
I believe I do. I was looking at it.
It was originally put in 9 to 12 million, 9 for just a green sand that would take away manganese and iron.
Yeah.
And the 12 was a larger building that would be able to
I don't have it.
fit the carbon filters for PFAS. It
Okay.
doesn't include the actual PFAS equipment, just the size building, so you wouldn't have to build another building and everything else. So it goes from a 60 by 80 to a 90 by 90, basically, something like that. And he said, for those right now, you're talking 15 to 20. So highest being right now 15 to build that largest. Just if you built it today, that 9 million 5 years ago is 15 right now. So if he needs something, if we built it next year, we'd be asking for close to 20 million. If we were going to do the PFAS at the same time, if we had that problem, or if we just want to do it so we could put it in there, it would be 15 to build the building. Is with current costs.
And then
And
that would allow treatment for manganese and iron.
Correct. That's a
Okay.
green sand filtration plant. Yes.
Does that deal with sodium as well?
No, I don't believe so. Sodium is a.
I don't think so. No.
I don't think. I'm not even sure we can filter out sodium, to tell you the truth.
Sodium's tough.
Well, it's an
Yeah.
ion, so I was just shooting in
Yeah.
the dark there. Okay.
Solution is the solution. So I have to believe that in the next 5 years, if not sooner, it's going to have to be some state subsidies to water suppliers for this PFAS if it continues to be an issue. There's no reason why it wouldn't be.
There are a ton of places right now out there, Mark, that
Yeah.
there's like ARPA funds. There's the loan like we have with the tank out there, that it's a 2% loan and you get so much forgiveness in the beginning. I think they're saying right now it's like a 15% forgiveness right away if you take one to do a PFAS plant. But it also is going to make you do the American Made plan to get the SRF funding, which is going to increase costs also so much and everything else. So there's a whole bunch of things out there. No matter what, there's so many, as you know, there's so many different rules that go along with getting the funding also. Yeah.
Just to put it into perspective, how much did the last tank cost to be installed?
2
10
point,
million? 20?
no,
2.1.
2.1. Yeah, it was the last one that was West Street.
2.1 million?
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, this would be the biggest capital expense we would ever have had.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, I think we need to do everything we can to not need it.
Yes.
Prevention.
Well, that is.
I think I said it. I think I said at the time of the report, it'd be a hell of a lot cheaper to buy everybody carbon filters and change their filters every week than it would be to do the capital costs and operation and maintenance for a plant like this. I mean, it's
Well,
staggering.
if I may just jump in there for a second, I totally agree with you, Mark. And just as one big picture example, New York City had a choice years ago of building a huge filtration plant or doing source water protection up in the Catskill Mountains and other reservoirs. And they chose the latter. And I don't remember the numbers because they have a lot more zeros than we're talking about.
I think it was $1 billion.
It was about it was something like that. And they ended up doing it for about a tenth of the cost. So people that want to be progressive and think ahead, and the track record shows it pays off big time. So I think that's the other items on the agenda, and I wanted to speak to that briefly, but we don't have to do it now.
Nice.
So in terms of Ray's concern, I mean, if he wants us to take it out as a placeholder, we can, but we're trying to be transparent and saying that this is something that we can't ignore.
I don't think he asked for that. I think what he asked for is let's get some more accurate numbers, maybe some more concrete estimates.
Well, just put
And
20
that's
million
something
in.
we could work on in the next fiscal year, because it is 5 years out and our water quality is looking pretty good at this point. Very good, excellent in the press, right? And as we see, so that's, we're fortunate. But let's change it from 10 to 20 to 15 to 20. Let's scope it back a little bit. So it's a little more accuracy there.
And the other thing that was on there is I did raise both the service truck and the electric upgrades, because if we do go farm right now, that's what current pricing is skyrocketing to do that. If we don't, if anything goes down, the money goes back. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is a plan, right? This is
Correct.
what we want people to have on their radar. So I think it's good. Anything else on that?
No.
Okay, can we go back to the agenda then? Are we good with budget? And I'd like to just take a couple of minutes. I know Scott had something that he wanted to share quickly with the commission, and I'd love to give him his time.
To do that now?
Yes.
Okay, well, real briefly, I'd like to put two things on the agenda for next month if we can. And they both involve two different tough students updates. One is a gentleman who presented to us last time. His name is Casey Goodwin. And he, as I reported to you before, he's taking the next step with that source water protection plan by doing an assessment of coming up with a plan on how to approach these on-site septic upgrades. Upgrading of our main well field. So he's preparing a plan on how to go about doing that. He's aware of our discussion last month where we decided to postpone the actual costs a year, but nonetheless, this is going to take time to plan it out correctly. So I'd like to get him in for a 15-minute presentation if we can have the time so you guys can hear that. And then secondly, I have another student who's decided to work on the Katuitt Elementary School. And I've had some communications with one of my friends, a Katuitt resident, George Foy. And we reached out to some people that I know, including Greg Watson and another gentleman named John Todd, who's very famous in the wastewater industry. And they're very interested in doing some brainstorming on some of the potential wastewater solutions at the elementary school, sort of regardless of what we end up doing with it. So this would be sort of a planning document to look at some of the sustainability techniques and approaches. And again, there's no commitment here. There's no detail. It's really just a plan that he's working on with these other people, Greg Watson and John Todd. Greg Watson, by the way, just if you don't know him, was the director of the New Alchemy Institute years ago, was commissioner of agriculture for Massachusetts, and was actually an Obama appointee to Cuba during the during his administration. So he's got some pretty good qualifications, and they're both really interested in working with us. So again, Peter Federico is doing that work, and the semester ends the end of April, which is why I want to get these guys in so you can hear about their work. And that would be probably another 15-minute presentation. So I don't want to overtake. I don't know what else we got on the agenda for next month, Tom, but we can try to keep these brief, but I thought it would make sense to get them in.
In my mind, it makes perfect sense. And I thank you and applaud you for helping foster this, because this is at no cost to the district. And the work that they do is amazing, really. So,
And they get a grade.
and they get a grade, right? And they do a good job because they want a good grade. So it's nice.
Both of them are pretty inspired. So I appreciate it if we could give them the time, if we can fit it into the schedule. And there might be another, 5 minutes, 10 minutes of questions if we had time. But I think if we can budget a half an hour presentation, another 10 or 15, I know that is a lot of the agenda, but I think they're both important issues.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Robbins?
Well, I think we've kind of buttoned down the budget stuff. So, yeah, I think it's good, innovative stuff that we should hear.
Great.
I also mentioned, I think that I'd like to bring forward those frequently asked questions again sometime soon. Maybe not if this is going to take up a half hour, we could do it the following session, but I don't want to lose that.
Excellent.
I would also like to point out before Commissioner Robinson leaves us, I want to note that he appears to have a pretty good tan and has been smiling more regularly than normal. So I kind of think he is just coming back from a nice little getaway. And
A little more relaxed tonight.
Yeah, well, it's true.
He's not hungry yet.
We'll need that.
Thanks very much. I do have to sign off, but nice to see you all, and see you next month.
Thank you.
Mark.
Bye, Mark. Mark,
Thank you.
any restrictions on next month's meeting, the third Wednesday, still good for you?
Yes,
Okay, thanks.
thank you.
All right, so I know we took some things out of order here, and I hope that didn't disrupt the flow of the discussions. We've got the new businesses done. Matters not anticipated by the chair are done. We can take public comment anytime somebody has something they'd like to share. We're good with our 5-year capital budget and our operating maintenance budget, which leaves us with the water quality report, superintendent's report, and review and approval of the prior meeting minutes. Do you want to do the minutes real quick? Have you had a chance to look at those, Scott?
I have not. I'm sorry.
Let's bump those to next meeting. And we'll do the walk, because I haven't either, and I'm sorry. Let's do the water quality report and the superintendent's report and wrap it up.
We'll do the water quality quick. We had no detections of coliform at all during the month of February. We did not get our results. I think this is actually the same sodium results that you had in the last report. You can see they're slightly different as raw going up, but we did do some around the 7th of this month. We just don't have the results from that yet. So they will be in there. They are increasing slowly, but we've been noticing that they're on kind of a, I don't know, they've gone up, they've gone down, they've gone up, they've gone down. So we'll see, they're kind of seesawing right now.
Right.
The other thing that I have is we did receive our results from our PFAS sampling. We went from non-detects in 4 of our stations to almost every station having a detect. In the 2 years that it's been, that first set that you see there is the one that we had go in for a substitution for our first set of state required testing. That last set there is our second set that was done. We have to do one in April also coming up. I did talk to Bill Schwartz from DEP. I said, geez, I got a 9, I went from a 6.2 to a 9.3. And he goes, yeah, you know what? You're still in a lot better situation than most. He says, even though you have detects there, he said they're relatively low. They're not on the monitoring now. The only thing that's going to happen is if that goes above 10, we're going to have to monitor PFAS in Station 1 monthly to keep an eye on it for a year. And the unregulated on the other side, we've had no detects of anything at Station 5, but we did get a very slight detect of an unregulated PFOA. I'm not sure which one it was. There's, I think 16 altogether, or 17.
Okay.
So it's one of the ones that, but with the new laws coming up, one of those might be thrown over to the PFAS 6 or the PFAS 7 in another year. So, it's, and those are parts per trillion right there. I mean, nanoliters or whatever they call it, nanograms. So I'll let you know in April, and we'll be keeping our fingers crossed.
Okay. So obviously you're using best practices when doing sampling,
Yep.
It's just so, from what I understand, it's so difficult to keep some of these compounds out of, from contaminating their samples, just because they're everywhere, right?
Right. Yeah. And they're in everything. It's tough. They're in everything. And as Scott's saying, maybe these septic systems, if he has somebody doing that, see how these innovative septic systems will do on, systems that have different things with PFAS. And, that treatment that you put on the roads that isn't salt, that stop us having sodium, is PFAS, some of it. It contains PFAS. So, I mean, everything out there contains it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll try to get an update on that, the septic system, because they are the technologies we're looking at using not only remove a lot of the nitrogen They have got good results on a long list of organics, including the pharmaceuticals and flame retardants that we see. There have not been any PFAS tests yet, but there have been samples taken by EPA, and we're waiting for the results. So we will have some data on that soon.
Good.
But I think it's reasonable to at least hope that we get that treatment as well. So hopefully we'll
Right.
get multiple benefits from that, Chris, as you say. But I'm unaware, I wanted to ask you about what you just said. I was unaware that PFAS was in these alternative de-icing treatments.
Some
What
of
do you
it,
know
some
about
of it, yeah,
that?
I've been told, actually, there's a gentleman there from, that helped with the source water protection plan.
Oh, okay.
He was one who told me
Bruce,
that.
Bruce?
Bruce, yeah, Bruce told me that
Really?
the alternate has had that in it. So it's, one way or the other, it seems they're gonna get you somehow.
Well, if I may just suggest, Bruce, I was, Bruce worked with the students, but I
Yep.
thought Bruce was going to continue on his own to do some other things with the source water plan. And it strikes me that this would be an ideal area for him to do a little more research and report to us, because if that's true, then our prior discussions about approaching the state and the town about, de-icing practices, we should be all over that, because
Right.
sodium's one thing, but if we get PFAS, we
Yeah.
might be shutting down wells here.
Yeah.
And if it's in the de-icing compounds, I was unaware of that, Chris. So if you, I guess through the
I could
chair,
give him a call.
I would ask you to confirm that. If that's true, I would even suggest that maybe he could, if he's willing to do more work on this, to try to figure out, what are the solutions.
I'm
we-
actually probably gonna see him in April. I go to Worcester for a couple days to a
Okay.
conference, and he's usually there. They have a booth over
Okay.
there trying to get people, and I could sit down and talk to him about it a little bit more.
Great, thank you.
That's incredible. That's,
Yeah,
and I mean, I read something, I had some students doing some research on surgical masks, PPE, and
Yeah.
PFAS is in that. I didn't know.
that's all over the place.
Yeah.
So, so the more we can find out about it, and the better off we'll be, and we can maybe mitigate this, particularly if
Correct.
we're spreading it just upstream of where
Yeah.
our extraction wells are.
And the last thing I have on the water quality was, we did do our VOCs back in February, I believe it was. We got the results at least. And we've always kept track of the MTBE since we had our problems in the past, and they were all non-detect this time too. So I'm not going to be doing the MTBE testing like we were doing every 6 months and everything else. We do it every year with the VOCs. We haven't seen it in probably 10 years. So I think maybe I'll just keep you guys, if we do detect it, I'll let you know right away. But I think it's gone right now. It seems to be taken out of the gas, the fuel leak that was there got taken care of. So everything was good. We had a couple stations that had a little bit of coliform in it, which is naturally, occurring in the groundwater. So not enough to be worried about or anything like that. But that was the only thing detected with the VOCs.
Okay. Good.
All right, quick on I don't have much to talk about on the superintendent's report for March, read on March 16th, 2020 for February. In February of 2021, we pumped 6,353,000 gallons of water. In February of 2022, 6,995,000 gallons of water, for an increase of 642,000 gallons of water. Yeah, so we've increased a little bit, but last month we were down 490, I think it was.
Yeah.
So, we're going up a little bit here, and I did check. I know Mark has left. One of his questions he asked, and I actually checked yesterday about groundwater. He happened to notice that there was water in Little River.
Yeah, he
down
mentioned that to me.
Hamptonsville Road. And we are at the just above the 50 percentile right now.
at the well that we look at. It probably has been since late in 2020 was the last time the water was this high. So we're at those levels from over a year ago. Now we're starting, last year was just a very, very dry year, and we had a very lot of, I mean, we stayed in conservation restrictions till, December almost, I think it was. So, yeah. So anyways, that's why I believe that we've used a little bit more. We had a very wet beginning, then a dry, then a wet end of February. So it kind of goes with the weather also. So we had no services put in February at all. We did finish our leak detection just after the end of February there. We did not find any leaks at all in town. We usually do it sometime between January and February, maybe the beginning of March, as we're doing in between stuff, just to make sure if there's a leak, then we know that, that might be why with our annual statistical report, it might be off or something like that. It's a good time to do it. JR did start this week flushing, so you'll see him out there blowing hydrants off. It's a little earlier than we usually do, but we got the weather. We're going to get going on it, try to alleviate a few dirty water complaints here and there. And if you guys do want to still write your sodium letters, we were talking about, I think, last month, to the Stratford Ponds or Katuitt Meadows. I do have addresses for both in my office.
Okay.
One is a property management firm, and one is a gentleman who's on the board over at Stratford Ponds.
Okay. I volunteered to do that, and so I'll come by and get that.
Okay. That's all I have for you.
Excellent. Any questions?
Yeah, Chris, I just want to mention, I just did a quick Google on this PFAS and de-icing, and you're absolutely right. It is being talked about. And so it looks like there's something to that. That's very interesting. Thank you for mentioning that tonight.
Thank you.
I might want to include something about that in a letter to these gentlemen or ladies.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Just that we would need to be very careful. Okay. All right. And that's what I'll do. I'll draft a letter and we can circulate it to the committee.
I will say that the gentleman from Katuitt Meadows that I talked to said, we're not, the town isn't doing anything over here. They didn't even plow us this year. He says, we've had troubles even getting anybody in here.
Well, and even if they could, I mean, if there's PFAS in the, and they're using de-icing on their walkways and individually on their driveways and stuff. Just
Right.
Some outreach, right?
Yep.
Some friendly reminders. Okay. We need to set an addition, the next meeting. And Jen had asked Mark if he was available. Was it the 20th, Jen?
That would be the 20th. Yep.
20th, and he was good for the 20th. Scott, are you okay for the 20th?
Let me just make sure. I'm just dialing that up right now. The 20th. Let's see. Yes, that's fine.
I may be in Nashville. I'm
I hope
not
to hear
sure,
some music in the background then.
right? So I might not be available on the 20th, but
Oh, you want to pick a different date? I'm good the week before and after.
13th or 27th,
I am not good the 13th.
not good the 13th.
27th, the students would be very happy pushing you back a week. I'm quite
wanna do-
sure.
Putting it on the 27th,
Yeah. You want to do that?
that's fine with me.
As long as Mark can make it, we'll have to verify.
Yeah, because we could move it to a different day of the week. We are going to do a Zoom again in April. I think we had said through April and maybe in May or June, resuming in person.
That would
At
be
least
good
it's-
to maintain it for the students to do distance for April.
Okay. Let's tentatively set it for the 27th at 5:30.
Yep.
And Jen or Chris, could you reach out to Mark to see if, and let us know if that doesn't work for him.
Will do.
Sure, Jen. Okay.
I just shot him a text, so I'll let you know if I
Oh, yeah.
can.
All right.
Efficient. I'm telling you,
So the
efficient.
27th at 5:30 Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Right.
then you have PruCom on your calendar for this Monday, the 28th, Tom?
Ooh. Hold on. I'm gonna go back to March.
March, yep.
So that's not this Monday, it's the following Monday. The 28th.
Correct. Yep, a week from Monday.
So what time do they meet? I have interviews with prospective teachers. But I think I'll be done by 5. Do they usually meet at 5:30 or 6?
We made it 6 PM.
Yeah, that's fine. 28th.
Are they in person or Zoom?
Zoom.
I got
Thank you.
March 28th, 6 PM. Add it. Done. Cool. All right. Any other discussion? Any other business thoughts? Anything good for the order? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second that and we'll vote. All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye. Oh, I
Thank you,
can't vote.
everybody.
You guys, thank you so much for
Thank
all
you
that
for
work
your
on the
voice.
budget tonight.
Yeah,
Thank
great work,
you.
everybody.
Nice work.
Thank you, guys.
All right. thanks so much.
Bye.
All right.
Thank
I'll be
you.
here.
Bye-bye, guys.